two more huge examples of how the mainstream media, like CNN here, completely manipulates and lies to the public regarding Donald Trump and his claims. Watch my video, learn all about it.
Trump was right about everything.
You remember in the beginning days of the pandemic when they were really fear-mongering, when they gave a preposterous number of people that were going to die from COVID?
Yes.
And what was the percentage at the high point? Was it like 3.5% or something like that? It was something nutty. There's a compilation video, Jamie, see if you can find it, where they're dunking on Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump said, I've heard it's less than 1%. He was right.
He was totally correct.
Quite a bit less than 1%.
Trump was right about everything.
A lot of conversations with a lot of people that do this. I think the number is way under 1%.
So to fact check, the World Health Organization says the coronavirus death rate is 3.4%.
President Trump lies that the World Health Organization is wrong.
The number is 3.4%. 3.4% is what it's being reported around.
My boy Sanjay.
Trump was right about everything.
The death rate.
The percentage is 3.4%, and no hunch from the president can change that.
Trump lied about the most recent World Health Organization estimate that the global death rate of coronavirus is 3.4%.
Jesus.
The 3.4% death rate was wrong, and WHO data later updated it to
A fraction of 1%.
Trump was right about everything.
Let's go back into history.
Trump has a hunch that the death rate is lower than 1%.
Way under 1%. Way under 1%.
Will someone put a mozzarella stick in his stupid hole?
Trump lied to viewers about the mortality rate.
Way under 1%.
False information.
He's spreading disinformation. Misinformation and dangerous disinformation.
Trump was right about everything.
If you're president of the United States, you have the world's greatest scientists at your disposal. You listen to them.
Leading scientists, including Dr. Fauci, wrote in the New England Journal of Medicine that the death rate could be considerably less than 1%.
Trump was right about everything.
Way under 1%.
See, this is, we've seen enough. These people are fucking puppets, man.
This wasn't the only time that Trump was telling the truth and was lampooned, mocked, and ridiculed by our mainstream media. Here's example number 2. And I think it's a very prescient example, especially as what is occurring today.
Saying for a long time, I said, these people are coming in from prisons and jails. Nobody listened to me. They're murderers. They're drug dealers. If you take a look at Venezuela as an example, their crime is down 72%. Because they've taken their criminals from Caracas. They've taken their drug dealers. They're emptying their prisons into our country.
And of course, we have the fact checkers. This is according to CNN. Criminologists attribute this decline to Venezuela's poor economy and the government's extrajudicial killings. They said there's no evidence that Venezuelan government is emptying its prisons and sending criminals to the United States. New York Times. Is Venezuela sending criminals to the U.S.? There's no evidence that the Venezuelan government is systemically or selectively releasing prisoners and expelling them from the country. PolitiFact. Searched the websites of the DHS Office of the Inspector General, DHS, and CBP, and found no public reports or mentions of Venezuela's government releasing prisoners and sending them to the U.S. USA Today. And while it's logical that a number of both criminals and victims made their way to the U.S., there's no evidence of any plot by Venezuelan officials to encourage it. And we got this political fact. Crime is down by Venezuela by 67% because they're taking their gangs and their criminals and depositing them very nicely in the United States. Claimed is false.
Suspect identified as a Venezuelan migrant accused of shooting 2 officers after they tried to pull him over for driving the wrong way. But prosecutors say his criminal activity goes much deeper than this one incident.
All right, get this. Federal authorities in El Paso relinquishing custody of a man linked to this violent jewelry robbery. This happened back in June in Denver. So our partners at News Nation, they're reporting it's part of a Venezuelan gang.
Trump was right about everything.
It's scenes coming out of a movie as the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua are seen breaking into apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. This is according to our sister station in Denver. There you can see the group well armed and forcing an apartment door open and making their way in. This has raised concerns amongst residents and Colorado state law enforcement officials.
Trump was right about everything.
Well, happening right now, the latest on yet another big story that we're also following after police arrested more than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The arrests were during a raid this weekend at the Palacia Apartments off Sahara Drive on the north side. News 4 San Antonio's Jay Avila has been following this story for months, reporting the gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
Yeah.
Unit 3 and Citywide, person with a gun, 6124 South King Drive. Callers says 32 Venezuelans are trespassing the building, showing guns in the courtyard, and they have motorcycles in the courtyard as well. All stairwells are filled. Nothing further is unclear.
Trump was right about everything.
Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student, was murdered in Georgia last week. Blunt force trauma to the head. The suspect, Jose Antonio Ibarra, is an illegal alien from Venezuela.
The NYPD says these are suspected members of the ruthless Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which has been infiltrating the U.S. for the last 2 years. NYPD Assistant Chief of Detectives Jason Savino telling me it is believed this video was made while the gang members were in Ecuador, and its purpose is to recruit new members.
Then, when you fast forward, you see the same individuals where? In Times Square. So that's our concern.
The NYPD says Tren de Aragua has been making it over the border with the migrant influx and is getting established in New York. The gang has gone from petty crimes like shoplifting and stealing cell phones and jewelry to all-out shootouts in the streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police officers. Mata is charged with shooting 2 officers.
So yeah, these are only just 2 more examples of thousands of examples of the mainstream media straight up lying about Donald Trump and his claims. I mean, they've lied about everything. Russiagate, January 6th, Trump's comments, Trump's business dealings, everything. The media are sociopathic liars, people. That's why you cannot ever, ever, ever believe anything they say and take it at face value. Anytime you hear something like Elon doing the quote-unquote Roman salute, you need to immediately go on X and double-check that information. Don't ever assume that anything they are telling you is true, because they are pathological, sociopathic liars.
And I said, you know, did you ever see the hat? I don't want to brag, but they do have a big selling hat. You know what it says? Trump was right about everything, right? Front row Joes. Front row Joes. Right? Trump was right about everything. Trump was right about everything. Trump was right about everything.